You're listening to TLN Radio, a member of the Nation Network of Podcasts and delivered by DoorDash.
What's up, everyone? You're listening to episode 11 of the Leafs Nation Radio podcast. We got the whole crew on the episode today. Caroline, Mare, Kyle, Scott, Nick, Barden. What's up, party people? Mare, we'll start with you because it's been a while.
Hi, it has been a while. I surprised everyone and crashed the party. I am reporting live from New York area. I'm in the city right now, but I live on Long Island. It was fun last night living on Long Island as a Leafs fan. I quite enjoyed myself. I'll just put that out there.
Are there a lot of Leafs fans in Long Island? Like, do you see a lot of people wearing Leaf stuff?
Okay, not like out and about, but if you go to a game, I did not go last night. We can talk about that another time. But if you go to a game, there's always a hefty Leafs crowd. There are a lot of Toronto Jews on Long Island. I'll just say that. Like, New York is a big sort of like, people go back and forth between New York, Toronto, like in terms of families are spread out. So yeah, there's always a good Leafs crowd at any Leafs Islanders game here.
Awesome. Good to hear. Well, it's good to have you back. We missed you.
Missed you too.
Kyle, what's up, buddy?
Doing good. Busy week for me, finishing up some school stuff, but all done with that now. Got a couple more things this week, but feeling good. I actually missed the last two games as well, so this is going to be a nice one to recap things for me as well. But yeah, doing good.
Awesome. And Scott, we're loving the haircut.
Thank you. Yeah, now that I'm kind of all settled into the new city, I figured I'd get a new look as well. But yeah, after a busy first week of doing Hall of Fame stuff in Toronto, now at the last week, I'm pretty sure I'll say more stuff on this podcast than I have all week. So this will be my social interaction for the week.
And Nick Barden, what's up?
Tired, like last week, tired.
I was about to say, I didn't want to say it for you, but I was like, are you tired?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm always tired, but today I'm especially tired.
So before we hit record, you said that you want to be in a place with snow. Why? As someone who's in Edmonton where there's a lot of snow, why do you want there to be snow?
Because for me, how it works in my brain is that there's fall and that's Halloween and that's all fun and it's so nice. And then once November 1st hits, I know for some people it switches to Christmas music. I did wait last year. I did not wait until Remembrance Day because I know a lot of people do. This year I did. And now I'm all in on Christmas music and I just want snow.
You know, it's so funny because I was watching a Netflix Christmas movie the other day and Mike was like, it's too soon. And I'm like, no, I don't know if it's as soon as Halloween. I agree with Remembrance Day. As soon as that's passed, you should be allowed to play music and watch the movies and put your tree up. It's never too soon, actually, in my opinion. Christmas movies all year round.
And like last year when my girlfriend and I went to BC, there was a part, I believe in October, when we were going through Whistler and there was snow and we were playing Christmas music before Halloween. And then we would bounce back and forth between Christmas music and then Halloween music. And then we got back to Banff and it was like a huge snowstorm. So that was weird. But I just want Christmas music now.
Okay, well,
snow, sorry.
You play your Christmas music and hopefully you get your snow, Nick Barden, okay?
I'll
make sure it happens for you.
There will be no snow.
Talking about snow, Canada soccer before Kyle and I said that we promised that we would talk about it on this episode again. There's no way we're not going to. History was made for Team Canada. That game was insane. I remember the night before. So they played on Tuesday night, I believe. So on Monday night, a snowstorm, like a crazy snowstorm hit here. And everyone was like, are they going to cancel the game? I'm like, no way does Canada cancel a game. Like this is what they're built for. Don't get me wrong. Canadian players obviously were cold in that weather and no one wants to play in snow, but the national team does train in conditions like that. So as much as they probably didn't prefer it, they're used to it. So when Tuesday came and Commonwealth Stadium here in Edmonton looked what they called it Ice Teca, which I thought was hilarious. It was filled with snow. The seats, when you got to the seats in Commonwealth Stadium, there was snow stuck to them. It was like completely ice. By halftime, I couldn't feel my hands and my feet and parts of my face, but it was completely worth it. And Kyle Larin scored 2 goals for Team Canada. Probably one of the best games I've seen Team Canada play against a pretty chippy Mexico team. It was, I think, a record game in terms of how cold it was for the Mexican national team that they've ever played in. They've never played in minus 14-degree weather. So with that considered, I think the Mexicans did a really good job. But Canada at the top of the CONCACAF qualifying group, they've moved up in rankings, which has never happened before this quickly. And sorry, Cash is so excited he's squeaking his toy. And they beat Mexico, which hasn't happened in World Cup qualifying in 45 years. It's just I don't care how cold it was. I would stay outside for 4 hours again to see that game.
Oh, I wish I was there. It looked so awesome. The ice tech stuff, everything. Kyle Larin going off. It was awesome. And like Sam Adekugbe's celebration, jumping into the snow pile. Like, come on. How do you not love it? It was great. Did you guys watch on TV?
I did.
Oh, yeah. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah. Oh, did I? I don't even remember. You know what? Yeah, I did. I wish I was there. Like, it's, again, there's snow, and it's like, it's so cool that they're playing in snow. Like, I played soccer when I was younger. I didn't play in snow, but it just looks so fun. And like, it was just such a big thing and a big win for them. It was crazy because, like, who does the commentary?
Gareth Wheeler.
Yeah, he said something about them not being afraid of Mexico on the pitch and off the pitch. I don't know if that was him or somebody else, but it was like they weren't afraid to fight them. Like, I believe after the final whistle, there was still like a little bit of pushing and shoving. Or
oh yeah,
yeah. So that it's nice to see a little bit of chippiness. I like that.
I love that in soccer. I like, you know what, though, what I will say, I wasn't too impressed with the ref. I feel like the ref should have at the beginning let them play a little more and then towards the end give out like 5 yellow cards. But I do like the drama in soccer. I love when there's a little drama, a little spice. I feel like we got that from Canada's goalkeeper a lot too. I thought he was incredible, MVP. I know Kyle Larin was like the star of the game, but I think without our goalie making the big saves towards the end, the game would have looked a lot different. But yeah, guys, this is exciting. I think we play what, Kyle? Now we play the US in January.
Yeah. So the next games aren't until the end of January. So at the end of the year, Canada's top of the table, which is pretty cool. But yeah, the next couple games are at the end of January, but Canada's played a lot of their home games already. So I think they've only got like 2 home games the rest of the way. So a lot of away games in Central America and stuff like that are going to be tough, but hey, they're top of the table right now. Can't take it away.
Top of the table. All right, guys, go Canada, go. Let's move on to Leafs land. Week 6 just finished in the NHL. The Leafs are 13-6-1. 3-0 win against the Preds, 2-1 win against the Rangers, 2-0 loss against the Pens, which snapped the Leafs win streak, their 5-game winning streak. 3-0 win against the Islanders last night. That was a big one. There you go, Mayor. Thanks for joining us. Not too shabby in Leafs land at the moment. I know, as Mayor, you were on the episodes at the beginning of the season on TLN Radio Pod. We weren't worried, we weren't concerned, but the Leafs weren't off to a hot start. And here they are. Everyone's talking about them. You know, they're back where they should be. Thoughts, everyone, on what's going on in Toronto?
I mean, isn't this what I said in those early days where I was like, I feel like if we go in without a ton of expectations and we just chill a little and we just try to enjoy the hockey, and maybe it's better, I know I said this, maybe it's better to not start hot and have room to improve.
Yep.
And so there was that skid early on in the season where everyone was freaking out, like it's the end of the world. And now look at it. It's fine. Things balance out. It's a long season. And like the loss on Saturday night is a blip because they had a shutout with Joseph Woll in net last night. So, you know, I think that so far for me, this is a good season for Leafs fans to like have perspective because there's only been one multi-game skid and the rest of the time the balance is pretty tipped positively and it feels nice. It feels good. It feels right. And I mean, I'm sure we all remember 2 seasons ago or the pre-COVID season where like Leafs never would have won the second half of a back-to-back. That was an impossibility. Like just period, hard stop, not going to happen. Especially if they lost the first half, then morale was like in the tank. So the fact that they won on a shutout yesterday with Joseph Woll in net is actually a pretty big deal.
I was just going to say it's amazing. Like, I mean, to see where they were at and to see them sort of claw their way back and be like, I believe like one of the top 10 or top 6, or I don't know. They're one of the top teams in the NHL at this point. So
they're 5th right now.
5th.
Looking at that.
And I mean, there's a bunch of other Canadian teams that are in there, but just for them, like just to see them have that ability to bounce back and still in games where they don't deserve to win, find ways to win, and just have a game last night where they played incredible defensively and got Joseph Woll the shutout. And I won't say they got him the shutout because he did a lot, but I mean, I don't have anything.
Baby.
Sorry?
They protected the baby.
Yeah. And I mean, it's nice to see that. It's nice to see at times, I mean, your depth scoring come in. It's sort of an even balance at some points now, which is always a good thing. And just hopefully everything stays positive. That's what I'm hoping for, because I don't want anyone to go down the sad or bad road.
It's weird to look back at that losing streak now because it felt so long, but it was only 4 games. And if you look at like their record otherwise, they're 13-3. So like it just like feels weird how much everyone was freaking out over that compared to how the rest of the season has gone. But yeah, I think like this week it was just nice to see them play really well defensively, even when like the offense wasn't there most nights, because like, and not even just like, oh, they didn't allow goals because the goalies stood on their head. Like they actually weren't allowing a ton of chances and like outplaying the other teams as well. So it was just all around good defensive efforts. And then the goalie behind them stood strong when they needed to. The Pittsburgh game is like a bit different, but I mean, you're going to have bad games now and then during a regular season. I will say, as someone who has faced the wrath of Islanders fans before, it was so satisfying listening to them booing their own team in their new arena last night, and the Leafs giving them nothing to cheer for. Oh, I needed that. But
so
yeah,
satisfying. And I chose not to go to the game. I mean, partially because we didn't have childcare, but also like I could have gone if I really wanted to. And the last 2 times I've been at an Islanders game here, it's been so negative, like so deeply uncomfortable as a Leafs fan. And now I'm kind of like, damn it. I wish I'd gone to the game.
Why is it so toxic?
That's the word for it. It's toxic. I don't know if it always was, honestly, but I know that since our captain left, they just like, they can't get over it. You heard them, they're still booing him when he touches the puck years later. And they're in there. It's like, they can't get over it. And it's toxic to the point that like, it made my son uncomfortable. We had to leave early. Like, yeah. It made like, it's just not I can't, I really just didn't want to go because I wanted to enjoy the game and I wouldn't have enjoyed it there. And it's like really I've been to a number of arenas around the country and it's the only place I can say, like, I go to Madison Square Garden, Rangers games are fun. I can't go to Islanders games when they play the Leafs anymore. It's just uncomfortable.
It's like a bad breakup.
Yeah.
It's just so
they can't
petty.
Get over it.
like
Taylor's version.
Never ever getting back together. And they're Jake Gyllenhaal, and they just can't get over it.
With the red scarf.
Like you'd think after 3 playoff runs where they've gone longer than the Leafs, they'd stop caring about Tavares, especially last year where they were so close to the Stanley Cup finals. And they probably would have won if they did go further because Montreal was a joke. But like, yeah, it's just like I get booing players from time to time. Like obviously Leafs fans have done that. Poor Jake Gardner, to be specific. But like, yeah, just the fact that they still do it when it's been almost 4 years now is kind of like, get over it. You guys are better off without him. We know that.
Kyle, anything you want to add? You've been quiet.
Just going back to the defensive part of things, they played 4 games in the past week and allowed 3 goals. Like that's pretty good. Yeah, usually that's a winning recipe. Obviously you'd like maybe a little bit more offense, and some of that comes around to Saturday's game where they got shut out and things like that. But over the course of the week, like Scott mentioned, it wasn't just a goalie standing on his head. It was consistent, very, very strong defensive performances. And that's exactly the kind of game that we've been waiting for the Leafs to have a little bit this season. The defense and especially the shutdown pairing of Muzz and Hall have been shaky over the course of the season, but 4 very, very strong defensive performances. Even in the loss, they still only allowed 2 goals.
Awesome. You guys spoke a lot about Joseph Woll. Peter Mrazek, with Peter Mrazek being injured, are we starting to establish and have this trust in Woll when Jack Campbell needs a break that he could get the job done between the pipes for the Leafs?
Yes.
Yeah.
1,000,000% yes.
You're fully in, Nick.
I was in last year when Joseph Woll was playing. I mean, not the best and also not the worst, but with the Marlies. But you could sort of see last season that he was turning a corner. He spent the beginning of last year with Jack Campbell, Freddie Anderson, and Michael Hutchinson on the Leafs because of injuries, and he learned a lot. And it's crazy to see what has transpired for him to get to where he was, to get to where he is now, and get an NHL shutout in his second game. I mean, that's
crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, just to, like, for me personally, it's weird because, like, I've interviewed him and talked to him, and, like, it's like seeing somebody, I don't know, I've only talked to him like once or twice, but, like, it's just like seeing somebody graduating high school when you knew them back in elementary school, or doing something when you knew them back long before. I don't know. It was just so cool to me to see. And
is he a nice guy?
Yeah, he's probably one of the nice. I mean, everybody on the Marlies has been really nice to me, but he always has a smile on his face. He's always happy. I'm happy for him. That's really all I have to say.
I mean, imagine being 23 years old and getting your first NHL career shutout. He's got to be
game ever.
Yeah, he's got to be feeling real good right now, and hopefully he continues to carry that momentum, right? Because, like, again, Peter Mrazek's injured, Jack Campbell's killing it. We'll talk about him in a second, but of course, goalies need a break here and there. So if Woll's doing his job and he's feeling that momentum and he's obviously feeling comfortable, that's a huge, huge thing for the Leafs right now.
Yeah, I wrote about it a little bit earlier today for the prospect roundup, talking about Woll and just how great it is to see him succeed in his second NHL game there, undefeated, getting the shutout, everything like that. The problem for him since turning professional, he had a really strong collegiate career with Boston College. The problem has been inconsistency. Like last year, I think the best example of it was he set like a Marlies record with 57 saves, allowed 3 goals. They got the win in overtime. And the next game, he also allowed 3 goals, except it was on 17 shots. And so the issue for him has been consistency, maintaining that solid play. We've seen glimpses of it over his career. And hopefully this stretch in the NHL where he's got a couple of wins under his belt, he's got a shutout here, can help with that confidence and help parlay that into some consistent results when he eventually goes back down with the Marlies, because he's been a goaltender that has had a lot of promise for a while. He was a starting goaltender with the U.S. National Development Program in his draft year, went to Boston College, actually took over for Thatcher Demko at that program, and they've had a lot of strong goalies there. And it's just not quite played out maybe as he hoped it would at the Marlies level. But clearly the Leafs have faith in him to give him this opportunity as a backup here with Mrazek out. And so far he's looked pretty good in it.
One of the scary things is that if Joseph Woll shows that he's an NHL capable goaltender, what happens? Because you have not Michael Hutchinson, you have Peter Mrazek, you have Jack Campbell. Like, what happens? No, why are you shaking your head? No, nothing.
No, because nothing's going to happen. They're not. Even if he's an NHL capable goaltender, the one thing I think Kyle Dubas and the Leafs do well that some other organizations don't do well is development. And so they're going to give him the time to grow into it. You can't show that you're an NHL capable goaltender in a string of 3, 4, 5 games that aren't even games in a row. Like he's slotting in when he really needs to right now. They're not going to think he's not taking anyone's spot at this point. What it shows us is that we have a third option and our goalie depth isn't as crap as we thought it was. Yeah. And that he's a candidate to move up into a slot in a later season. Maybe it's next season, maybe it's the season after, but he's not taking anyone's starting 1A, 1B tandem spot at this point. He's too green.
Going off of that,
true.
I think like if it is a point where he takes one of their jobs, I think that's going to be an off-season thing, not during the season. Whether that like he ends up being a backup to Mrazek if we can't sign Jack Campbell, or we get rid of Mrazek to sign Jack Campbell and then he's a cheap backup option, one of the two. But I think now, admittedly, I was actually on the fence of starting Hutchinson for the game in New York because the idea, I mean, we were just talking about the toxicity in that arena. So the idea of putting a young goalie, his second NHL game in that arena, if the Islanders get like a couple early ones, who knows if he shakes that off for like the rest of his career with how that arena could be. It had the chance of going really badly, but instead it went the exact opposite way. And I'm glad for him for that. And I think I have a bit more confidence in him now, at least more than Michael Hutchinson,
I
which
think it's a
is
good
a very
point,
low bar.
but also keep in mind that the last time Michael Hutchinson played the Islanders on Long Island was a show of epic proportions. Like, it was awful. And so I think there's a monkey on the back there too. Like, neither one is a great place to be starting from, perhaps, except that Joseph Woll is it's a clean slate. He's not carrying any baggage into it the way Hutch would have been. And the Leafs and Hutch it's like oil and water. I don't know what he did for the Avs, but it hasn't come back with him.
Nick Barton's not happy with that comment.
No. I do not appreciate any Hutch bad talk.
I think he's a great guy, and obviously he can play. He played for the Avs in the playoffs, but I don't know why it happened with Freddie too, to be honest. And I love Freddie, but there's a point in time where this Leafs team can't play in front of a certain goalie anymore. I don't know what it is. It's got to be something psychological, but they hit a point where they just don't work with certain goalies. They tell me I'm wrong. I'm not. Remember last season when every time Freddie was on the ice in net, the Leafs bombed, and every time Jack was in net, it was like a different team. It's like they hit a point with a goalie and they're done.
I felt so bad for Freddie. That's why I cheer for him all the time now with the Kings.
Honestly, I think some of that was just a systems thing, because it's probably more than a coincidence that he started to get bad when Sheldon Keefe took over. So I think was probably
definitely possible.
Yeah, I think the way Babcock's system worked with Freddie, because I remember there was an adjustment period at first with Freddie too when he first came here, and then they worked around that so that he could work well in Babcock's system. So I think that probably played a role, while Jack was just fresh coming into the new system. Yeah,
Jack is easy to train, like a golden retriever. Freddie is like a Great Dane, much harder to train. These are true things. Also, Scott's interpretation probably makes more sense than my goalies are voodoo answer to the question.
No, goalies are still voodoo.
Probably 50-50.
Yeah.
Goalies are voodoo.
Goalies are incredibly random.
But in seriousness, having Joseph Woll as a potential capable third option goalie does bring some confidence back to the Leafs goalie depth, because that has been, we are cursed when it comes to goalie depth over the last few seasons.
Well, I was going to say, me being here in Edmonton, the Oilers are kind of in a similar situation. Obviously, Mike Smith's out, long-term injury. Koskinen is good, is healthy, but has kind of had a little bit of, the last few games haven't been his best. And then Stuart Skinner comes in between the pipes against the Winnipeg Jets, has an unbelievable game, of course, against a Jets team that looks playoffs ready. So I think for Oilers fans, when they see this, it's exactly that. It's the depth, and it gives them the chance to breathe. That if Koskinen needs a night off, then Stuart Skinner can do the job. Or if Stuart Skinner's on a little bit of a run, he can get the job done. So if that's what a Joseph Woll is for the Leafs right now, just the chance to breathe in and breathe out, knowing that you guys are okay in terms of goaltending and depth, I think that that's a win-win, right? You can't ask for anything more except for, Jack Campbell to sign longer.
I just got a Campbell jersey yesterday. Better sign.
I I freaking love this guy. Whether you watch him in the game, first of all, his stats are unreal. He's a top 3 goaltender in the league. Let's talk about it. I also love watching him in the media. He's probably one of the most lovable guys in the NHL. And I think that even if you're a Habs fan, which, they hate the Leafs, you're like, I love Jack Campbell. Like there's nothing to dislike about the guy.
He's got a 944 save percentage.
It's nuts.
Like, it's stupid. Like, the fact that just everything about his story is just so awesome. The fact that he was such a high pick. He was expected to be this great goaltender for the United States for so long. And things just didn't work out for him with the Dallas Stars. He goes to the Kings organization and kind of out of nowhere suddenly becomes the backup to Jonathan Quick and plays a few games and has a great run. The Leafs need a backup. They kind of go to him. There's some familiarity there between Dubas and Campbell. It's more seen as a trade to get Kyle Clifford for the fourth line and toughness and all this stuff. And a couple of years later, all of a sudden he's in conversation for the United States Olympic team, and he's got a 944 save percentage, and he's got 3 shutouts on the year, and it's crazy. It's one of the best stories in recent memory with the Leafs here.
Team USA would be crazy not to consider him at this point,
even just as a third string.
Honestly, he's so good.
I've listened to a few podcasts, and I don't know if they're gonna pick him as the third string.
What are they saying, Nick?
Well, with Steve Dangle's podcast, they were just talking about it and how it would be Connor Hellebuck.
John Gibson would be the other one.
John Gibson, and then Jack Campbell would be in the running, but they said that they think that USA might go with Spencer Knight because he's so young, and they just want a young goalie to be in there, like the baby that kind of learns. I don't really know. I kind of think that Jack Campbell's 944 save percentage, like, obviously you'd have to go with him. Like, the numbers don't speak for them. The numbers do speak for themselves. So, like, what? And plus, like, just the person he is, the person he would be in the locker room.
Oh,
it would be, I don't want to say like I would cheer for the US, but like, if they're doing well, and like, I wouldn't mind seeing Jack Campbell somewhere in that organization.
I have 2 thoughts on this a little bit. One, let's just put this out there. If Austin Matthews tells them to bring Jack Campbell along, maybe they're bringing Jack Campbell along. I wonder how much pull he has. You know what I mean? Austin does like to adopt his goalies, but I actually, and you guys know me, I like to think about sort of the psychology of the players and how that impacts. I wonder, and I'm not saying Jack is clearly a skilled goaltender and he's talented, but I also think a big part of his success is that he has fit in as the missing piece on this Toronto team. And I don't know if that would translate to a short-term Olympic team he needed the time here to get to where he is now. He built chemistry. He got to know the team. He started, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure it would translate.
So do you think his performance is situational now then?
I don't want to say it's all situational, but I will say that I don't think he has the same degree of success somewhere else right off the bat.
Interesting.
Yeah. Go ahead, Scott.
Oh, well, idea, maybe you bring him in as the third string, never play him, and he's just the happy guy in the locker room that everyone cheers everyone.
Which I think that would be the situation it would be too, because you've got Hellebuck and Gibson there.
No, that's fair, and give him the shot. Sure, I'd love for him to be able to sort of experience that and be part of it. That's true.
And there's also Jonathan Quick as well. I know he's a lot older and usually bad, but he's off to a decent start this season. Well, you got to be blunt, but he's off to a decent start this season, and we know how Team USA usually likes to go for the more experienced guys over the better guys. So that, and they maybe want to have a veteran presence in the tandem on the 3, because I don't think Gibson or Hellebuck have played on the Olympic stage. No, because they're too young to have been at the last ones. So yeah.
Wait, I feel really out of the loop, guys. This is going to sound so dumb, but who's the net for Team Canada?
That's a great question.
Yeah. They don't have a very solid option, but they have a bunch of people who could be there. Price, depending on
I mean, right. That's
where
what I was,
he's at.
obviously my mind went to Carey Price,
Yeah.
but I'm like, we don't know if he's going to be available.
I-
And if he is available, has he if he hasn't played at all,
Right.
what does that mean? Like,
Yeah.
I
don't know
sorry.
the actual stats, but I feel like I've heard Carter Hart has been good this year. And like they always
Yeah,
talk about
I
him.
think like the short list that people mentioned was like
Yeah.
Price, Hart, Blackwood, Kemper, Fleury, and then there's one other that I'm forgetting, but it's not
okay,
it's
Kemper and
nothing
Fleury, I'm okay with.
amazing. But
And Mike Smith is always for some reason in the running as well.
Okay. So nobody's throwing Jordan Binnington in the running.
Oh yeah, he
might be
I
hope
he might be
so.
the sixth guy. But
You know what? A lot of people don't like Jordan Binnington.
I love him.
I love him too.
Love him. That's a hot
Like,
take, I think.
no,
He's so funny.
No.
Like a lot
Not
of
for
people,
me.
like
Not
when
for
he
me.
pick and
No.
swings it at Nazem Kadri. That is
No.
awesome stuff.
I'm here
Like-
for it. I'm here for it
Yeah.
all my life long to see some spice in the NHL. This league, more than any other league in sports, needs some spice and entertainment. And Jordan Binnington gives me that. I'm here for all of his craziness at all times.
I don't like him as a person
Yeah.
or even like
Yeah.
as like I don't like that he does that, but at the same time, it gives St. Louis a lot more entertainment value knowing that you could go into a game and he could do some really stupid
Oh my
shit.
God. No, I
Where
just-
am I allowed to
yeah.
swear? I don't know.
Yeah,
if
of
we're-
course you
Okay. Okay.
I want to see him.
But yeah.
I want to
he-
see him go into the. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
Say it.
I was just gonna say he'd be great in the Canada versus USA game. Just
he gets
pure,
suspended
like-
for the rest of the tournament.
Center
well-
ice. Drop the gloves with Jack Campbell. You wouldn't like to see that.
Yeah, right. That's,
the,
okay.
the
Someone tries
nicest
to
goalie
drop
in-
the gloves, and Jack Campbell's gonna be like, "Do you need your gloves back? What's going on here?" He been
Jack
jumping
Campbell would be like, Jack Campbell would be like, let's
Yeah.
hug it out. Let's
He'd
hug
be
it
like,
out.
"Thank you for punching me, sir. Please do it again."
There was a tweet, and it was like, I don't know who it was. I think it was John Tavares and somebody else fighting. I don't remember, but it was just like, how would nice guys fight? Like, what would they like? How would that work?
Rock, paper, scissors.
There's no.
I do again though. I do like Jordan Binnington.
I'm with you, Nick. I think that if Jack Campbell were to be called up, I think that there's only positives he'd bring. Obviously, Connor Hellebuck's unreal, having an unreal season with the Jets. I understand that choice completely, but sometimes when you go to I went to a World Cup. I know that just as much as it's important to have players on the pitch or the ice do a job, it's also important to have that like stable presence in a locker room to calm things down, keep the morale high, keep the jokes going. It's super important because the tensions are high. You're at an Olympic Games, which obviously is a really big deal for these NHLers. So I think Jack Campbell would be such a sound choice for so many different reasons. And I really want to see him get to do that because I just think he's been so great and he's so humble. One of my favorite things is when you see an athlete who's doing so well also be humble. It's one of the best qualities I think that an athlete can have. So I'm really rooting for him and hopefully he continues with these unbelievable numbers because he deserves that praise that he's getting right now.
Yeah. I know like Nick mentioned that like he might cheer for Team USA. If Jack Campbell's on that team, I was already considering kind of rooting for Team USA because of Austin. But if Campbell's on that team, I probably am. I also just get kind of bored cheering for Team Canada. They win every time. It's like that's not fun.
Yeah, add some spice.
I actually like World Juniors. I get a lot of hate for it, but I always root for it based on like which team has the most Leafs prospects. And I also like low key kind of want to see Canada get relegated because I want to see the chaos from that. Because like we give like players crap in their like social media pages for missing a penalty shot in the gold medal game. What do you think they'd get if like they went and like lost every game and got relegated?
Oh my God. You imagine?
That would
Join
be a
me.
horrible holiday.
Join me.
Scott,
Join me on Team Chaos.
Scott just wants maximum chaos. That's
Oh
what
my
he's
God,
going for.
I love it. I love it. Quickly, let's talk about the third line because whenever there's a positive conversation that's happening in the Toronto Maple Leafs world, I think it's great to talk about it. Obviously, Camp and Kasha doing an unbelievable job on the third line, maybe not getting as many goals as people, we've seen from other players, but they're doing a lot of work on and off the puck that, a lot of these Leafs fans have been talking about. And I just did like a fun little power rankings article on leafsnation.com and the amount of tweets that people put out about the third line. It's such a nice fresh of breath air Did I say that correctly? Breath of fresh air.
There we go.
I said it. I'm like, that didn't sound right. It's such a nice breath of fresh air to be reading positivity in what's going around the Leafs land right now. So your guys' thoughts on the third line?
I love Ondrej Kase so much.
Yeah.
I've liked him for a long time, and through all the injury issues and stuff, I didn't know what to expect from him over the offseason. I loved him as just like a buy low candidate, see what happens. And to see him on the third line excelling, and quite frankly, seeing also why he's been injured as often as he has been. He's just such a fun player. And to see him doing it alongside somebody that he's played with for a very long time in David Kampf as well. And somebody that I didn't really have any expectations for coming into the year, and has done a really, really good job as basically the defensive zone start, get it up the ice guy. It's been great to see them kind of become this lockdown third line that Sheldon Keefe has wanted for a while. Alex Kerfoot wasn't really the guy to do that they've tried to do in the past. It was just kind of putting him into a spot that he wasn't the best at, but they got a guy in David Kampf that they've liked for a while that can actually do that role. They have a player alongside him in Ondrej Kase that can also bring it up the ice and create those shots and create those chances as well. And we've seen a little bit recently, a bit of a rotation on their left wing, and it hasn't really mattered whether it was Nick Ritchie or whether it was Pierre Engvall. They've been a really solid line.
Yeah, as someone who was like team get Kosh when Boston didn't qualify him, I was really happy when we took a flyer on him, just because he showed in Anaheim when he was healthy that like he could be a top 6 forward. So like I figured he'd be a solid Zach Hyman replacement, but like also just the fact that he can excel in a third line role, sort of be the offensive spark, but like not necessary. I think I'm actually kind of surprised that Leafs fans are liking the third line as much as they are, because I've found in the past that like if a player doesn't score, but like they're good defensively, Leafs fans usually hate on them because they're boring, when it's like, no, that's like, they're still doing well. They just can't score. I think Pierre Engvall is actually a good example of that, because I mean, hot take, I think Pierre Engvall is actually a decent NHL player.
I agree.
I think he's like the new Jake Gardner, where he like makes one really bad mistake a game and everyone just like harps on him for it. But like otherwise his numbers show up pretty well. And just like on that line, he does, like he was on the shutdown line last year and he did a really good job in that role as the third line center. Like you can just kind of plug him wherever. Also like his goal scoring rates like for 60 minutes are surprisingly like a first line rate or something like that, or like really close to that, which like you wouldn't know because he doesn't really score. But like, yeah, I think like just that line altogether works really well. And I'm glad that Sheldon Keefe finally has that reliable shutdown line, because not only does that mean we have a third line we can count on beyond the big 4 and their 2 buddies on their left wing, but it also means that we now have a line to play against top competition, which means one of those 2 lines gets to play against third and fourth lines and kill them.
Maybe the theme for Leafs fans this season, Mayor, is perspective, like what you said at the beginning of the episode, in terms of like taking a deep breath in and out about the beginning of the season not being the best that it could have been. And now the third line, and maybe there's not a ton of goals that's happening, but there's still an unbelievable line that works hard, gets the job done, provides depth for this Leafs team. Maybe Leafs fans are introduced to the idea of perspective this year, and maybe it takes a long way. Yeah. Balance is huge.
Balance.
Yeah.
I feel like for years, the last however many years, Leafs fans have been yelling about the need for a more defensively sound team. I reconditioned myself going into yesterday's game. I'm thinking to myself, well, the Islanders are a strong defensive team. The Leafs are just an offensive team. And then I had to stop myself and be like, whoa, wait, we're not just an offensive team anymore. That's not what we've been doing this season. Like, it's not, these aren't track meets anymore, except for that one other Joseph Woll game. But like, it's about balance. I will say this, and he's not going to listen, and we can all call him out on it now because he doesn't listen to every podcast, but this season has made John Steitzer an Alex Kerfoot fan, and that is something to be proud of, because he was a known Kerfoot hater before. So if
anything is possible.
If he's a Kerfoot fan now, you know they're doing good work.
Well, what about when he's a Marner fan? What will that mean?
He's not a Marner fan?
No.
Wow.
No.
Wow.
No.
I mean, Marner's on our list today to talk about 2 goals last night against the Islanders. What does he have right now in the season? 6 goals, 11 assists, 17 points. Has he finally hit the Mitch Marner stride that we know and love? And do we maybe, no, Mayor's saying, no, okay, Mayor, talk to us before I get into.
No, I think he's got another level. I mean, and just to tie this into what we were just saying, John Sather is not a Marner fan because he's not an extremely skilled, talented hockey player. He just doesn't like the guy.
And his dad.
And his dad and the contract. It has nothing to do with whether or not he just doesn't think he's worth it. But I'm not saying no as in I'm negative about him. So nobody tweet me, you're negative about Marner. No, I just think he still has another level. Like, I think he could still go up a level, and I think he will. Like, I think he's on the runway. It's he's hitting the stride, but he's going to take off.
But Mayor, to what we've said since the beginning of TLN Radio pod, since the start of it, is that we almost would rather that happen, because then he's going to peak at the right moment, which let's hope is playoffs. And that's what I was going to ask. Like, have we seen a different part of Mitch Marner's game this season, different from the rest, that could potentially get him to that next level in playoffs? Or are we still seeing, him at this consistent level and he has yet to get there?
I think one thing that speaks a lot to his game right now, at the very least, is like in the past, if Marner wasn't getting points, you could tell that like he wasn't having a good game. But like, I just looked, and before last night's game, he had 2 points in his last 6 games. And I was actually kind of surprised to hear that, because he's played, like, he's looked like he's getting points. Yeah. Like, he's playing with confidence, with swagger. So like, even when he doesn't do well, he's not letting it get to him anymore. So I think that's a very important first step to having that game hit another level. Because if he can keep in that mindset come playoff time, when the chances aren't always going to go in, especially because his style of play isn't always suited for the playoffs, I think it'll be like good for him to just like get in that mental headspace. And then once playoffs come around, he can keep driving, keep creating those chances, even if they might not go in. Because I think, the past few games have shown maybe that's changed. Maybe.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing as Mayor. Is like, there's got to be, like, I don't know. You see everything he does, and it's like similar to Connor McDavid in a sense, where like at some points you're not really surprised by it. But for him, like, I don't know, like him and Austin Matthews, if they can really, really get going, like that duo is basically almost unstoppable.
Lethal.
Yeah. And I don't think they've hit that peak. I don't think they've even gotten near it. So if there's another level that he can hit, and exactly.
It's a gradual, and it should be a gradual thing.
And and hopefully it stays gradual. Hopefully it doesn't just shoot up like a rocket. But because then it's like, I mean,
but that's what I'm like loving right now about Mitch Marner. And I know everyone's like on Mitch Marner all the time, but I'm like, I have this feeling he's going to weirdly peak at the right time. Let's hope when playoffs comes around, and then he's almost, maybe he doesn't hit his regular stride in regular season, but that's okay, because if he can hit that in the playoffs, which is obviously the criticism on him, maybe he's even hungrier. He has a lot to prove this season. He's playing with a chip on his shoulder. Exactly what Scott said. You're surprised to see that he doesn't have as many points as he has with the way that he's been playing. And maybe it's like a whole different playoffs Mitch Marner that we get to see this season, which I would be so happy to. And then maybe we convert John to the Marner side as well.
I almost want to read between the lines, though. You know how a couple games ago Willie got benched, and what did Sheldon Keefe say after? He said Willie is someone who knows that he actually sometimes needs to be pushed because he's a little too relaxed, right? Read between the lines. Who hasn't Sheldon been talking about so much? Hasn't so much been talking about Mitch Marner. And the opposite there is that Mitch is the total opposite situation. Mitch can't do it when the pressure's too high. So maybe what's going on there also is that they're purposely taking some of the spotlight, some of the pressure, some of the shine off to let the kid do his thing. Mm-hmm. And that makes his life, like, that's how he plays well. Like, I don't think he's playing with a chip on his shoulder personally. I think he's playing like nobody's watching because he doesn't feel the same pressure he's felt.
Yeah, maybe there's a big sports psych component into it, which I know that all these professional teams have, that, allows Mitch Marner to do his thing without the pressure. Personally, if I was playing and I know all of Toronto was hating on me, I'd be like, every single game I'd go out on the ice, I'd be like, I'm showing it to them. First and foremost for myself. But I think that whatever Mitch Marner is doing right now, whatever the Leafs organization is doing right now, is working for him. And hopefully he just continues playing the way he is. And exactly like what we were saying, it go up gradually, not too hot, just keeps doing his thing and stays present each moment in every game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think he's got another level. I think we've seen a couple of those games where he's reached that level. I think the Vegas game where he scored the crazy goal and then had 3 points, and then a couple games later, the 4-point game against Boston, those ones stand out as like the level that we know he can reach. And we haven't quite seen it on a consistent basis. But again, it's about that gradual buildup over the season, like you've mentioned. And we've seen it here and there. I think an element of it as well is it's an 82 game season this year. You have to pace yourself as well. I think there's an element of that, but we're going to need to see it on a more consistent basis. But I think we've seen glimpses of it enough to where it's not super, super concerning.
Let's quickly chat about Morgan Rielly before we sign off here. 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points in week 6 of the NHL. We know earlier this season he signed a big extension, 8-year, $60 million contract. Since then, everyone has been, not that anyone was unhappy with Morgan Rielly at the beginning of the season. I'd say everyone was unhappy with the Leafs collectively at the beginning of the season, but a lot of fans have been really happy with Morgan Rielly since the signing and his performance. Thoughts on, what Morgan Rielly brings to this team defensively and offensively?
I'd say everything.
Yeah, right?
Like, there was Sheldon Keefe said the other night or the other day that he's just been a player that's done everything right. There hasn't been anything that he's done wrong this season. And part of it might be that the contract is finally like figured out and he has nothing to worry about. He's been a great player all along, and just to see that everything is going right for the entire team, and just the fact that Morgan Rielly is a big part of everything that's going right is really
on wood. Nicholas, come on.
It's just
how I feel about jinxing.
Just nice to sit back and see it.
Yes, instead of everything's going right, let's just say we have perspective. We have perspective.
No, but it's nice to see that everything is going right. It's just, there's a lot of down, a lot of people are always down on the team. And again,
the mood around the team is very positive. Good way to say exactly what you're trying to say. Now stop talking.
Okay.
Nick knows I love him. I'm very superstitious.
They will win the Stanley Cup.
I'm gonna kill you in your sleep, buddy.
I'm so superstitious as well. Every time I watch a hockey game and I see someone stick break, I'm like, I swear to God, if that was me, I'd be like, okay, my game streak that I've been playing well is over now because my stick broke. I'm like crazy. When I played, everything that I did was like, I was nuts, Mare. I put my left socks on before my right. My left
trust
shin
me.
pad,
Okay,
left shoe, crazy, like nuts.
The last win streak they had, I did not wear pants for the entirety of the streak. No, I'm not joking. Fine. Then they lost a game, and then the next game they won, I was wearing a jumpsuit, like not pants and a top, but a one-piece jumpsuit. And I have worn a jumpsuit for every game they've won since then. The one game in the last 10 games that I was not wearing a jumpsuit was Saturday.
So you're the secret to success.
So really, the whole season revolves around me. No, I'm so superstitious. Like you can't, you gotta just, it's all about perspective. And I have none, clearly, but it's about perspective.
I'm the same way, cut from the same cloth.
I'm pretty superstitious as well, but like I jokingly say this, but like I actually think I'm kind of cursed, just like in all facets of life. So like
we need an example.
my love life.
It's a different one.
Well, don't put me on the spot, but there's lots of examples. But but like it's just like I'm so superstitious about stuff like that to the point that I just like I'm not at all. Like it's just like whatever. I can't stop it anyway. It's going to go bad anyway. Why not enjoy it while it is good?
I'm like, I literally attach when I was playing well, I'd literally attach my performance to like my hair ties. I'd be like, okay, the reason why I scored today was because I used the red and the black hair tie. So then I'd use the red and the black hair tie every single game. And even if I didn't score, it was the reason why I played well. And then when it snapped, I'd be like, oh, that's it. I'm not going to get called up to this camp. I'm not going to go here. And it'd be the end of my world. And then I'd go and look for the exact same hair tie. It was like, honest to God, borderline psychotic. So I'm glad I'm venting in this therapy session to you guys.
Okay. I do have a better example now.
Tell me.
When John reached out to me and I guess Nick as well about the Hall of Fame stuff, like when he first like was like, hey, so this is a thing that might happen. I didn't tell anybody, like not even like my super close friends that I'll tell everything about. I just like, no, the second I like talk about it and get excited, it's going to fall through and not going to happen. So like, that's the kind of like my mindset usually. Like that's where I'm superstitious is like, if I'm happy about something, I keep it to myself until it's guaranteed. How,
speaking of the Hall of Fame, how was that? You and Nick went and covered it, correct?
Yes, we did.
What was it like?
It was just like a really cool experience overall, like especially for me coming from a small town. Even though like I started to get more into sports writing, I never thought of myself ever reaching a point where I would be like interviewing Hall of Fame inductees and like Wendell Clark and Eric Lindros. So like that was just kind of very surreal. It was also really nice to see that even like in spite of all that, I wasn't like starstruck. Like it didn't, like I was never points where I was fanboying over it, like to the players. Like obviously like Nick and I were like had our fair share of it from time to time behind the scenes. But like, yeah, I was never like, oh my God, you're Wendell Clark to them. Like I was pretty professional as well. So that was kind of cool to see. It was also as Nick and I found out, we bumped into Jesse Pollock from Bar Down, and he's actually like a really nice guy off the camera. So that was kind of cool to see as well. And CJ. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was weird. I've told everyone who I've talked to about it, I've just told them like I don't have anything other to say than weird. Like what happened was we were at Scotiabank Arena for the game, and I mean we got to see everything, like the Leafs dressing. We got to go all underneath what the media usually gets to see and whatever. And we went up to the press box. Like that was all like, okay, it's cool. And then there was a point I had my camera and I was able to go onto the ice to take like the photo, like take photos of everyone getting a watch and just getting like introduced. That was really weird. I texted my girlfriend. I sent her a picture. I'm like, holy shit, I'm on the ice.
Oh, I'm gonna get 2 shirts made for you, Nick. And it's the first one's gonna say I'm tired, and then the second one's gonna say it was really weird.
Okay. I mean, sure.
Wait, no, you should get them on a hat on the front and the back, and he can just spin the hat around.
True. Whatever one he's feeling. He can
just spin around based on what he's answering.
I'll wear that to every single Marlies game I go to from now on.
That's so cool that you guys got to experience that. And I think one of the coolest moments is, obviously we're all fans of sport, is when you get to meet someone like Wendell Clark, who I've spoke to in the past. He's just so awesome. So you get to see someone who many Leafs fans admire, hockey fans across the league. And then when you get to meet them, they're so cool. They're so humble. It is a very weird feeling. I know exactly what you're talking about, Nick. It's this feeling of like, am I really here? Why do I get to do this? Why am I so lucky? What's going to happen? Like, it's just a really cool feeling. So I'm really glad you guys got to experience that. And you deserve every second of it, by the way. So I want you guys to know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I will say the weirdest moment for me was when we were like on the red carpet and Dion Phaneuf walked by, and I'm like, that guy was scored like one of the 2 goals in my first Leafs game I watched,
That's
which dates myself. I got into hockey relatively late. Not that like I was a kid when that happened. Just to clarify, I don't want people to feel old. I started watching hockey in high school, so like yeah, it's.
I love
You're not
Dion
supposed to say it.
Dion Phaneuf, I have the funny, well, it's not that funny actually at all. It just, he was so cool. There was this one golf tournament that I was at and I was interviewing all the athletes that were there, and Dion Phaneuf was kind of trying to like dodge the media tent, which I thought was hilarious. And by no means was I trying, I was like, this guy's just here to chill. Like, I'm not going to be like interview. Right. So I was like, the biggest Alicia Cuthbert fan when I was growing up, because she was on Popular Mechanics for Kids.
Yeah.
And when I would wake up, I'd watch PMK and I'd be like, this girl is awesome. And I like fell in love with her. So I went up to Dion Phaneuf. You could kind of tell he was like, I don't want to be interviewed. Why are you coming up to me? I'm like, listen, Dion, like, I don't mean to, Dion, like, we're friends. Hey, I'm like, Dion, I don't mean to bother you, but I'm the biggest fan of your wife. And she made every single one of my mornings when I watched Popular Mechanics for Kids. This guy just like was beaming, so happy, just so genuine. Oh, thank you so much. That was like the nicest thing you could say. I'll let her know. And from that moment on, I was like, I don't care to ask this guy one hockey question, just how genuine and happy he was in that moment. I'm like, him and Alicia Cuthbert are my favorite power couple. And I low-key stalk them from time to time on social media. But I thought that he was so cool. And you could understand probably why sometimes he doesn't want to talk to media. But the one interaction I had with him, he was awesome. And his wife is just so cool.
If you think they're a power couple now, wait till I tell you they introduced Mo and Tessa.
Really?
Oh boy.
Yes. Yes. People think I'm joking.
I believe
Tessa
it, but
Tessa and Morgan both went to PEI for a Special Olympics event, a gala, and they were introduced at the Cuthbert Phaneuf house where they had like a get together around the event.
Well,
That's
this
how they
is
met.
the power couple stars have aligned.
So I'm definitely going to try and become friends with Dion Phaneuf. I think that's the secret to talking my love life.
Oh my God, that's so good, Scott. Oh my God.
It was kind of funny at one point when we were on the red carpet, Nick and I were talking, we were trying to figure out who like the most like famous person or like the biggest name we saw that night. I'm like, well, technically Alicia Cuthbert, like she goes beyond hockey. So
was
like,
she there?
Yeah, she was there.
I
Yeah,
just love
both
her.
of them were
Oh
there.
my God, their daughter is the tiny clone of her. It was the cutest thing with the puck drop. Oh my God. It was adorable.
I love her. I think she's so talented, so beautiful, so fun. And Popular Mechanics for me, like, remember Art Attack and like all those shows?
Yeah,
Maybe I'm old. Maybe
you're
we're
talking
old.
to the children. Yes, of course I remember.
Vaguely remember that show.
She was also on 24, although you're all too young. She was on 24 also. She was, what's his name's daughter?
Yeah, I think I remember
Kiefer
that.
Sutherland. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Yeah, look at their blank faces. They have no idea.
I remember that weird story, but I remember that show only because like the like little like ticking clock interlude between scenes. I would hear that
24,
when I was a kid because I had to share.
Almighty.
Yeah, sorry, I had to share a room with my brother when he was a baby, but like I couldn't fall asleep in his room when he was sleeping because he cried at that point. So like it was unfair to put me in that room. So I would sleep in my parents' bed, but I couldn't fall asleep still because I knew I'd be woken up to go back into my room once my brother went to sleep. So I'd just be like staring through like the crack of like the hinge of the door to like watch bits of that. And like that was a show I always remember.
So what you're telling me is your parents were watching 24 when you were a child. Mayor's really old. And that's all for today, folks.
Don't worry. I'm right there with you, Mayor, because I know exactly what you're talking about. And also Saved by the Bell. So between Popular Mechanics for Kids, Saved by the Bell, and Art Attack, and The Big Comfy Couch, I was pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
Someone said
she was
to me
in that?
when I tweeted the other day, oh my God, Caroline, have to look at, I'm going to send you the picture now. The other day for a Leafs game, I was wearing one of my jumpers, but it's like a tank top style. So I had a turtleneck on under, and it was like, I guess I didn't even realize, but I posted it and someone was like, I'm not going to say Big Comfy Couch. And I literally am wearing her exact outfit from Big Comfy Couch.
I don't know. Those shows are They'll never make shows like that again. I don't know. I was obsessed with all of them. No, Nick, she wasn't in those ones, but those are just all like my nostalgic morning shows that I would go to before I'd get ready for school. But PMK was a solid one that I never missed. So you guys have no idea what we're talking about, but this is
I know Big Comfy.
Big Comfy Couch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was like that
because
Blue's
they were
Clues
children and we were babysitting them.
Okay, so Scott, Blue's Clues, that means Caillou.
Oh, Blue's Clues was my stuff.
Hold
back
on,
in the day.
one second.
How about Clifford?
Oh, no.
Clifford, Pingu.
He's gonna bring something with Caillou.
Oh God.
I just know it.
I'm
Like when I was like a baby.
Oh,
Hey, there we go.
Okay.
I love it.
My first room was
Yes.
have painted Leafs and have painted Blues Clues.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
This was like my first stuffed animal, so I keep it around, kind of like how Andy wanted to keep Woody when he went to college.
I love that.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah, I feel like the Leafs mascot should be Blue's Clues.
Yeah.
That was a missed opportunity.
What?
I'm here for
I
that.
think I learned today why his name is Carlton. Do you guys know why?
Carlton Street.
Yeah, I did not know that.
Maple Leaf
I've-
Gardens is where it was. Yeah.
I'm stupid.
I always thought it was.
I mean, I go to
100%
school
in
there,
Carleton
so
University.
I should know that. But
Okay, guys, let's wrap it up. This has been a really good episode. It's been fun.
Yes.
Next time, let's talk more pop culture TV shows from our time.
Yeah.
We
Everything
need to have.
knows.
And
We
Mary,
need to have a
ahead.
second podcast during like the week. That's just like other
Well,
non-hockey
no, we
stuff.
didn't. Whenever I guest on Locked On Bruins, whenever, with Ian, who's a good friend of mine, I do it every other Friday. And half the time I'm there, we do like a little quick roundup of the whole week in hockey for the league. And then we do pop culture and it's all TV. We talk Succession. We talk about everything we're watching.
Listen, if you guys want to do something like that, or because I know at Oilers Nation, they have like Oilers podcast, and then they have a podcast called Real Life where they just shoot the shit for 1 hour,
Yeah.
everything and anything that's going on in the world, which is hilarious. So if you guys are down to do that, you let me know. I'd get that going ASAP because I watch so much TV when I can. I love knowing everything. Kim Kardashian, Pete Davidson, how they're dating. I know all the details. We could have a whole episode on the shows we watched growing up. No problem. And if anyone listening, if you guys want something like that too, we can by all means make it happen.
Oh, start talking about music. I could like fill a whole 2-hour like
Me too.
podcast. Just me.
Okay, you know what, guys? We'll talk offline. We'll sort something out. We'll find
Yeah.
Sold. All right, everyone. This has been episode 11 of the Leafs Nation Radio podcast. We're back here every single Monday. Who do the Leafs have this week? Let's check before we head off.
They're on their West
let's
Coast swing.
see. Yes.
on the West
Coast.
Kings
No.
Wednesday,
Anaheim.
Sharks
Oh,
Friday,
no.
Ducks Sunday. So a bit of a weird schedule there.
Yeah, it is a bit of a weird schedule.
They're on their West Coast swing.
Oh,
10,
my
10:30
I won't be
and
watching
8.
the games. Actually, that's a lie. I can watch the games because it's a short week in the US and I don't have work.
Oh, Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. I don't care.
Doesn't matter for
Are
me
they
because
having
I
the
work.
parade?
I'm Canadian. What?
Are they having the parade?
Probably, but I'm coming to Toronto.
Oh,
When I lived in the US, I made a solid effort to celebrate Thanksgiving twice a year because it's one of my favorite holidays.
I mean, my children and husband will be with his family celebrating, but I am flying to Toronto to spend some quality time with my sister for the weekend.
Oh, nice. Well, you guys have
Yeah.
fun.
Thank you.
That's so nice. Okay, guys. Well, we're going to do it. Oh, we're going to figure out a whole other podcast. Don't worry.
There we go.
Thanks for
I
listening,
need to get
everyone.
back to my day job.
Mare, thanks for joining us. You're the best. We got Kyle, Scott, Nick, Mare, Caroline here with you guys, and we'll be back next Monday. Thanks for dropping by.
Thanks for listening to TLN Radio, a member of the Nation Network of Podcasts and delivered by DoorDash. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and never miss an episode.